In this video, we are going to focus on the strategies for the IELTS Writing Task 2. So, regardless of the delivery, there are some methodologies and structure you can follow that will help you organize your writing. As mentioned before, one of the biggest mistakes that students do is not analyzing in more details the delivery. They focus directly on writing because they feel they do not have enough time, and most of the time they lose so many points even though they have a great grammar and a great vocabulary, but because they just go a bit off track. So when I talk about going off track, it doesn't mean that the delivery has to write about animals and you talk about school, but it really means that maybe they're talking about school but specifically about maths classes, and you just remain very general and broad in your topic and you just discuss school in general. So this is already an off-track error that will really make your grade drop significantly. So there are 3 simple steps that you can use to analyze the delivery and make sure that you understand it fully. The first one is focusing on the topic words, so it's more general background and context of the delivery. Then is the micro topic words, so the specific one, the one that we were talking before. So the general topic could be computers, and then the micro topic could be computer software. And then there are the words that will give you instruction, and it's the last step that you need to follow to fully understand the delivery. And in general, how is the delivery structure? Well, there are 1 or 2 general statements, and then there are the instruction on what you need to do. Now, to understand this further, we are going to look at a practical example. The internet allows us to stay in touch with each other no matter where we are. On the other hand, it isolates us and encourages people not to socialize. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Give reasons for your answers and include any relevant example from your knowledge or experience. So we can see here that the general topic is the internet. If you write the entire text about the internet, you will get a very low point. In fact, we can see already from the delivery the micro point, which is specifically the social part of the internet. So the social aspect, how internet can connect us or isolate us. And then we can clearly see what are the instructions. So agree or disagree with this statement and give reason for that and practical examples. Another important thing to consider when writing your task 2 is do not copy and paste any word that you find in the guidelines in the delivery, but also do not write any ideas that come from others as if it's yours. So do not say that you have done a study if that is not the truth, because in this case you will incur in plagiarism. So plagiarism is when you use someone else's phrases, ideas, even if you paraphrase them, and you make it as if they are your own. This is not a big problem in the task 2 because you would use some synonyms, antonyms, you try to paraphrase as much as possible, and if you give an example you will say that is someone else study, or you can say the Guardian study or recent study has shown, so you don't say I have done this or I say this and this is the truth. But why am I mentioning this right now? Because when you go to a UK university, plagiarism is a very big issue for many international students, and that is also based on my personal experience. When I was studying in Italy, if I took an idea from a book and I used my words to describe it, I didn't have to cite it, the book that I've taken it from. Whereas when I came in the UK, they underline how important it is that whenever you write an idea, particularly then a quotation, you need to cite exactly where it comes from, so the sources. So remember this also when you will get to university. There are various type of referencing styles, and you will need to follow the instruction exactly in order not to plagiarize any type of ideas, text and opinions, because in that case you will incur in serious issues like being rejected your exam or receiving a lower point in it. Let's look now at some golden rules for the IELTS writing task 2. So as we said earlier, keep on track, focus on the micro topic of the delivery, and you will have the right structure and the right focus throughout the text. Use linking word and connect every sentence and every paragraph. That will create a very ordered narrative and ordered flow. It will be very cohesive, and you will get more points for one of the requirements and evaluation criteria that they consider. So the examinator need to have a visible structure, need to see this structure and the division in paragraphs. Use a variety of terms, learn as many synonyms and antonyms as possible, and really avoid repetitions. And very important, make sure that the verbs are all in the same form, whether you use the present simple or the past simple. Now, let's look at some things you really need to avoid. The first one is use any contracted forms, such as it's instead of it is, or can't instead of cannot, and personal pronouns. So you shouldn't be writing I think, I believe, my point of view is, but you should be a bit more objective and discuss it in a very academic way that will be the same that you would use at university. So recent study shows how the internet has increased the level of isolation in young people, or talking about the environment. Recent news shows that the environment is changing or the climate is changing. So do not say I think that, because that's very informal and it's not academic at all. Again, as we mentioned earlier, use very straightforward sentences, simple, one idea at a time, and avoid using subordinates and passive forms, because it will make the entire text more difficult to read, less clear, and you may be also wasting so many words and time writing those words. Also, try to avoid any personal or too personal examples. You really need to make sure that the examples can be applied to the reality in general. So saying that during lockdowns, for example, we have been using Zoom more and that has connected us in a different way. So this applies not only to our own experience, but to everyone's experience, and is a general fact. So the general advice, again, related to structure, and we're going to look at this in more details in the next video, but there are 6 general phases of the writing task 2. So the first one is understanding the question through the 3 steps that we have looked at. Then is the planning phase, so when you plan what you're going to write. Then you write the introduction, and we are going to look at specific steps on how to write the introduction. You write the main body, and so you divide this in paragraph, and we're going to look in more details on how and what you should include in each paragraph. And then you write the conclusion, and you spend some time doing the review, checking any grammar mistakes and spelling. It's very important that you leave 5 minutes at the end to do the review, but also 10 minutes at the beginning to do the planning, because that is how most of the students get the highest grade, by planning in more details and then writing straight away in the answer sheet. A bit more information about the word count. Remember, you cannot write less than 250. You can go a tiny bit more than 250. There is a 10% over, but remember that more you write, more opportunities you have to make mistake and to go off track. And it's very important that at the end of the test you count each word to make sure that you arrived at 250. Also, based on your previous experience of school, you may think that more you write, the better it is, but actually what they're really looking for is quality over quantity. And in general, words that are hyphenated count as 1, and the punctuation is not counted as a word. So just general information that may be helpful when counting your words. And the way to make your text perfect is really the structure. So in the next video we are going to go more in details on how to have a perfect structure for the writing task 2 of the IELTS.